Fantastic. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Durham University's online open days and welcome specifically to our postgraduate career session. I'm delighted to be joined on the call this evening by David Henderson, who's our Senior Careers Advisor and also a member of our alumni community. Aaron is with us as well, and I will hand over for them to do their introductions in just a moment. Just from myself then, so my name is Ellie Stoddart. I am the one of the student recruitment managers here at Durham University, and my responsibility is for the postgraduate cohort. I'll be helping to host and manage the session this evening and help us work through your questions. So just in terms of asking questions then, so there will be a presentation that David will deliver. So I was just saying, just in terms of taking questions, you've got two options. You can either pop them in the chat. Those questions will be then public to the rest of the group, or you can use the Q&A button. So you'll see at the top of your screen there, there's some icons towards the right-hand side, and one of those icons has two speech bubbles and a Q and an A. Now, if you just click on that icon, a pop-up box will open and you can pop your questions in there, and I will feed those back to Aaron and David at the end of the presentation. It does lead me then to hand over, and I will hand over to David first to introduce himself and then to Aaron, and then we can get on with the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. So hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. So as Ellie said, my name is David Henderson, and I'm a Senior Manager within the Careers and Enterprise Centre here at the university. Good to see everybody.
Hi everyone, my name's Aaron Vickery. I live and work in Mexico City. I run my own private banking and wealth management firm. I graduated from the online MBA it was supposed to be 2019, but because of COVID, we graduated in 2020 in the end. And happy to be here and answer any questions any of you have.
Fantastic, thank you both of you. And David, I'll hand over to you then to begin the presentation.
Thank you. Okay, I'll just share my slides with everybody. Just bear with me one moment. Ellie, can you see the slides okay?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see me, but I put a big thumbs up, David. Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you. Yes,
thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, I've lost sight of everybody. So if you just keep you right, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay, brilliant. Well, really good to see everybody. So I'm just going to start with a short presentation for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And then we'll have time for questions with myself and Aaron. So as I said, my name is David Henderson, Senior Manager within the Careers and Enterprise team at Durham University. So what I'd like to cover today is really where can a postgraduate degree take you. So this will be a broad overview, but I'd like to say a little bit about the employability value of postgraduate study. Just encouraging you to think about developing skills as a postgraduate study, the sorts of career options that might be open to you. And I'll say a little bit about the support that we offer from within the Careers and Enterprise team at Durham as well. So let's get into this. So if we start by looking at the employability value of postgraduate study, I think the first thing to say is that there's no guarantee that postgraduate study on its own will make you more employable, but there is data that suggests it does have an impact and can positively impact your employability. So one of those key data sources is graduate outcomes. And this is a national survey that takes place on an annual basis. And the Graduate Outcome Survey looks at the destination data of graduates 15 months after the completion of their programs of study, whether that be undergraduate or postgraduate programs of study. And the good news from a postgraduate point of view is that 10% are more likely, postgraduates are around 10% more likely to be in a professional occupation. The positive data around postgraduate study and employability is also reflected through the Higher Education Policy Institute, and their 2020 report looked at the earning capacity of postgraduates, and they found that postgraduates earn an average 18% more than first degree holders. So some positive data there around postgraduate study and employability. But how does that look like? What does that look like at Durham University? So again, if we look at the graduate outcomes for Durham leavers and look specifically at postgraduate graduates, we found that 88% of postgraduate leavers were in employment 15 months after graduation. 92% of postgraduate leavers were in high-skilled full-time employment. I think the phrase high-skilled is the key thing to keep in mind here in terms of the level at which people were working after graduation. And in terms of salary, the median salary for postgraduate leavers was £30,000. So this data relates to UK and EU leavers and includes postgraduate taught students, so master's students, master's by research students, and PhD students as well. A question that often comes up is, do employers value postgraduate degrees? And this is dependent on the type of employer and the role. But I think one thing that we can say is that postgraduate study can enhance your employability. And this is largely because of the knowledge that you will gain, but also the skills that you'll develop at a higher level. The one thing that is important to keep in mind is that you need to be able to communicate the value of your postgraduate qualification to an employer. There will be some employers, particularly in sectors requiring knowledge workers or professionals, who are more likely to recognise postgraduate qualification and the associated skills and experience. So I'm sure Aaron will say a little bit more about his experience in terms of how he's drawn upon his MBA in the context of a career within wealth management. But examples of knowledge roles or knowledge professions include things like business and data analysis, consultancy, project management, media and communications, policy-led work. There'll also be employers who actively seek to recruit individuals with specialist skills, knowledge and experience that map on to the industries that they operate in. And I think it's in this context where postgraduates have the opportunity to align their skill set through postgraduate study to those particular types of employers. So I'm really just scratching the surface here, but we could be talking about roles within energy, environment, sustainability. It could be within artificial intelligence and data science, market research, economics and finance, international development, public health, research science, or culture and heritage. So just a couple of examples of quite specialist areas that can align to specific areas of postgraduate study. I think it's also important to keep in mind as well that there are professions where a postgraduate degree is a basic requirement, and this particularly applies to professions that are regulated. So examples include roles within education, law, psychology, and social work, again, just to name a few examples. In the context of working within knowledge industries or working in a knowledge profession, I just wanted to highlight one job example that I've looked at quite recently, and this is a position with a consultancy. And I thought this was just an interesting example because it's a role that draws upon the knowledge and skills that can be obtained through postgraduate study. So within this example role here, you can see there is reference to a postgraduate level qualification. There is reference to having specialist knowledge, and in this case, it's specialist knowledge across a number of disciplines. And there's also reference to specific skills, including research methods, data analysis, project management, and computational skills. So I'm really conscious this is a job example in isolation, but it illustrates an example where postgraduate study and an employer needs can align really closely. And you can find examples of these sorts of vacancies out there in the job market. And on the theme of skills, I want to say a little bit about developing skills as a postgraduate student. So again, the skills that you will develop will be very much driven by the discipline and the field of study that you undertake. But there will be academic and cognitive skills that will be broadly applicable to any type of postgraduate study. So you've got some examples on this slide, including the ability to interpret information, to think critically, and to undertake analysis, to communicate complex topics and concepts, to manage projects and to apply research methodologies, presenting ideas in different ways and to different audiences, working with different types of data, making decisions and finding solutions to problems. I think it's also worth saying that postgraduate study is not just about developing skills and knowledge. It can be about building confidence, it can be about engaging with experts in a particular field, and it can also be an opportunity to access training and development that will support your postgraduate learning, but also your wider employability as well. The academic and cognitive skills that I've referred to will translate into transferable skills that all recruiters will actively look for. So on this slide, I've tried to distill the academic and cognitive skills in the previous slide into a list of skills that will be recognizable and meaningful to different types of employers. I think the challenge can often be around being able to reframe or to translate your academic learning and skills in a way that is accessible and meaningful to recruiters. But if you can't do this, then you can really present your skills in a way that is will add value to whatever pathway you're thinking about exploring professionally. I think in terms of building skills, a key factor is around evidencing your skills and building your professional profile. So I think irrespective of what you decide to study or where you decide to study at postgraduate level, I would encourage you to get into the habit of reflecting on the skills that you're developing and recording the evidence or examples of those skills being applied in practice as well. And this will really support job applications and preparing for interviews going forward. And this brings me back to the example job vacancy that I referred to a little earlier. So with this consultancy position, I wanted to highlight a different part of the job description that looks at personal qualities. I thought that this was quite interesting in that the skills and qualities that they're looking for, again, map really well onto the sort of skills that you will develop as a postgraduate level student. So in this case, they're looking at the ability to write, to synthesize information, looking at highly developed communication and interpersonal skills, the ability to understand research and appreciate the ethics around research, time management, but also the ability to manage your own workload and priorities, and attention to detail as well. So I just want to say a little bit about career options as well. And I'm conscious there will be the audience will be made up of people who, some of you will have had professional experience, some of you may be considering postgraduate study as a means to go in a different career direction. So I'm conscious what I'll say now is very broad based, but you can think about career options in three broad categories. And this is very much an oversimplification, but you can look at graduate training schemes. And these schemes are open to graduates in the same way as undergraduates. And these schemes provide a fast track route into leadership positions. They can be a good option if you are looking to change career, or if you have limited professional experience in a particular industry or sector. They're typically structured training programs between 1 and 3 years. Some will be very broad-based management focused, Others will have a very specific functional aspect to them, whether that be HR, technology, research and development, finance, marketing, ESG, or consulting, just to give a few examples. Now, graduate schemes won't be relevant to everybody in the audience to this evening, but one thing I will say, if you do want to consider this option, just be aware that the closing dates can be very early. So if you are doing a one-year master's course, the closing deadlines can be as early as October, November, and December. So you need to act quite quickly in terms of exploring and applying for these sorts of opportunities. Another pathway is in terms of direct entry roles. And again, depending on your experience and background, this might be roles at professional or associate professional level, again, driven by your skills and experience. If you have limited professional experience, then you may want to look at graduate entry level roles, or you may even want to consider off-cycle internships. And off-cycle internships are typically 6-month programs where you can build professional experience within a particular organization or industry. The final pathway to highlight is specialist roles. That requires very specific skills, knowledge, and experience. And I think it's in this context where there can be opportunities to draw upon your postgraduate qualification in terms of the knowledge and insights that you are developing through that program of study. So just to start to pull things to a close before we open things out for discussion and questions, I just wanted to mention career planning. And the key thing I want to mention here is just to engage in career planning from the outset of your postgraduate study, particularly if you are doing a one-year program for the reasons already mentioned in terms of early closing date for some graduate level opportunities. If you're keen to make a start now, there are some really good resources out there. I've included some resources on this slide. The one resource that I would draw people's attention to is called Prospects. So prospects.ac.uk. It's a free to access resource, and the quality of the information is really good. So it can help you to explore opportunities, navigate different pathways, but also understand what the labour market is like within those particular areas of industry as well. And the final point on this slide is around just thinking about what you want. What are your career goals, and how do they align to your skills, strengths, and career preferences, and starting to build an action plan to help you to move that plan forward. And that action plan could involve really practical things around researching different roles, starting to build your professional profile, building your network around those professional interests, and actively engaging in job search. And there's support there to help you to do that. So whether that's at Durham or another institution, access the support that is available through the Careers and Enterprise services. And that brings me finally on to saying a little bit about support from Careers and Enterprise at Durham University. So we provide different types of support, and this support will extend to you as a student, but also as a graduate of the university as well. So that support includes careers information, resources, and tools. And these resources and tools will help you to navigate different options, think about your strengths, and help you to prepare for job applications and interviews. We provide support around work experience. We offer one-to-one careers advice and guidance. We provide support around innovation, enterprise, and business startup. We also provide support in respect of engaging with employers and opportunities as well. So just to give you a bit of a flavour of what that looks like, if you were studying at Durham, in the previous academic year, we had over 6,500 vacancies advertised on our platform. And that included anything from part-time jobs or on-campus jobs right through to graduate level job roles as well. We also host a lot of employer and careers events. So you have some examples of some of the employers that have worked with us in recent years. We have 4 different career fairs each year, but we also have employers running events on campus and online. And these events include things like recruitment presentations, drop-in sessions, skills sessions, but they all present opportunities to engage, explore, and build your network, which is really, really important. I also want to mention that we do offer support for international students as well. So we do that through our program called International Outlook, which is a workshop program covering sort of key topics around career planning and job search. We also have specific resources that we subscribe to that support international students. That includes Student Circus, which is around job search in the UK, and another resource called Going Global, which is around global international job search as well. Okay, so just to summarize, so at Careers Enterprise, we can support postgraduate students with career planning, skills development, and employer networking opportunities. I would encourage you all to think about how a postgraduate program will support your own employability and career goals, and also encourage you to think about other opportunities alongside postgraduate study that will help you to develop your employability. And it's somewhere like Durham, that might be extracurricular activities, work experience, but also professional and skills development as well. And the final point is, if you're keen to begin the process now, then I would encourage you to have a look at the Prospect site as a really good tool to explore different careers and gain insights into the labour market. Okay, so that's just a really sort of brief overview, but hopefully that just sets the scene in terms of questions that you may have around career planning and next steps. So I'll stop sharing my slides now. Thank you, everybody.